I feel like we've seen Scout play a lot. The fact that they've banned out the Ahri, I feel like that has typically been one of the go-tos to match into the Ryze because you fulfill a very similar role, being able to move with your ultimate, obviously having things like the Everfrost and Charm to set up CC plays on side, but EDG no, instead going to take the Jayce for themselves, not give xiaolaohu the comfort that he had in game one, and also taking the Xayah. So far, I'd say a decently defensive composition coming out from the side of EDG. They have the early game aggressor and jungle to set it up, but having the range tools, the anti-dive AD carry to kind of play against what FPX have. So for FPX, again, to risk not getting shut out from the jungle pool again, maybe you go towards that here, but Trundle typically being the answer we see into the Volibear, not incredibly strong in terms of like mid-jungle 2v2s, which is I feel like what you really want to play Ryze for, but no. Wanting to get this absolutely smashes the Jayce lane, especially with the level 6 market. You can pretty much consistently dive him, even in scenarios where you push in the wave and you die as well, where guess what? You just deny Jayce one, or if you can stack wave 2 waves, and you're finding an advantage for your top side on xiaolaohu.
I mean, it makes it interesting, right? Because if we see Tryndamere up the top side, I wonder if that pivots how FPX are going to play the map, because with a team that likes to play bot so heavily, now you have a Ryze, now you have a Tryndamere in side lanes. Let's see what the dynamic is when Clid finally gets his jungle.
Yeah, now for EDG, you just go towards that same ban, take that one away. We still also have the Viego open as well, if they want to opt into a more skirmish-oriented playstyle. The Xin Zhao being the other pick that we've hit on. I feel like those are really the two that come to mind in terms of champions left open for the side of FPX to be able to go towards. Viego has been Clid's most played champion this split, but Xin Zhao being his second most played, so both would be in his wheelhouse. Now for FPX, it makes sense to take away the recons since you do have the Xayah on the opposite side. For EDG, I feel like their comp still has options in terms of how it could pivot. So you're still playing out with a lot of range. There's still quite a few mid lane champions left open, but I feel like you could just go towards a more aggressive mid lane champion and just try and play out through sides. We still have things like the Vex left open, which Scout has really liked to gravitate towards. The Sylas still being there. Like, there's still some things that can be played. Syndra, really good answer into the Ryze as well.
Strong mid 2v2. Let's see if EDG pivot that way. But we've got a couple of jungle bans we need to mention. Nocturne actually banned out this game. Trundle you were mentioning before, which FPX have once again decided that they're not going to pick up in the first 3 rotation. What else is available, Lyric? Like, we're down the ways.
Like I was saying, I feel like your answers are going to come to Viego or Xin Zhao. They go towards Viego. The Syndra being the last one we just hit on in terms of mid lane, so I feel like it wouldn't be a bad option for EDG in terms of that it gives you more range, which fits with the theme of your Jayce and your Xayah. It wins out in mid, it pairs well with Volibear. It's kind of where my eyes are going in terms of how EDG can play this one out. I feel like they're just going to opt into this Leona that they're hovering right now, which will at least give them some engage options if they do want to turn and try and find fights themselves. And now to see what Scout decides, if he likes our suggestions or if he thinks we're absolute idiots.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to think that. You said Vex, you said Syndra. No one really wants to see the Corky Lyric, but at least out of fan sentiment, we know that this also has a lot of range to it as well. Are you going to match Ryze instead? What do you do?
And
just going through.
I was going to say.
Just pick it.
Right now.
Oh, that's a different direction completely.
Yeah, taking a page out of Fofa's book. Ox probably somewhere molding right now as we speak.
Good on him.
And so they're just indexing into the range. You're indexing into more of a scaling composition. To be fair, this does shut out picks like Viego and Tryndamere pretty well, both being, you know, melee champions who need to run in, get their damage down, throw out that Emperor's Divide. They're not able to follow up. But it does take the ball out of EDG's court, in my opinion, in terms of early game options available to them, especially when you do have this Volibear who I think would like to get things done. You'll still be able to be a big meat shield later on in the game, but for EDG, I feel like now you're looking a lot more at Jiejie, covering especially for his top side, making sure Flandre doesn't fall behind, so then you're in mid-game, you can go in neutral, a solid footing, where your composition will be incredibly strong.
Okay, so again, not like early game in last game where they were just playing towards top to accelerate, playing towards top or playing towards some of these solo lanes to neutralize. I like that. On the other side, FPX, though, we have a lot of skirmishing, it seems like, here from Viego. Tryndamere comes through as an early pick from xiaolaohu as well.
I feel like for the side of FPX, the big strength of their comp is that they have early winning lanes. You know, like Ryze, you'll get pushed in on first wave, but then once you start getting, you know, some levels under your belt, level 3, you'll be able to just pretty much spam the wave, ignore him, and start moving around the map with your jungler. Bot lane should be able to win, having the Aphelios into the Xayah, be able to poke him out level 1 with the Calibrum. And then we already hit on for top side. You know, you'll be able to have advantageous trades early on, but especially that post 6 point, it feels like it really comes online. So For FPX, I'm looking at early game aggression, not necessarily in the first few levels, but at that level 6 mark, having the Realm Warp, having the winning Tryndamere in top side, Aphelios will already have pushed down and bot, and it feels like it opens up all the options for Clid.
So are you looking directionally towards bot though in the early game? Because that's what we talked about with FPX. Like, I feel like a lot of the time when we set up narratives at LPL, we always come into the games and it goes a different direction. Care has the opportunity, but at least for the bottom lane early levels, I'm wondering how it works.
I feel like pre-6, you can look to cover or set up for bot lane if you want. And then post-6 is where I want to see FPX actually switch it up, play towards their top side, at least make sure that xiaolaohu is dominating this lane. Make sure that Jiejie isn't there shutting him down. Make sure that he has the vision to do what he wants.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic here because for FPX after the first game, we've pivoted completely. Early Ryze pick coming through. We get Hung's Thresh, which is something we didn't talk about, but it's exciting to see him on something that's so amazing as a playmaker. Weirdly enough, Hung's Flash is still available. So it's 50 seconds into the game, and yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah, for FPX, instead of just going to like mark up, you know, the normal like 5-point stance on the map, instead of going for anything cheeky. And for EDG, I mean, having, you know, a decently strong level 1 in terms of like if they wanted to push in, who knows where like Flandre would be or you know, Viper and Meiko linking up. So I think it's fine when you already know that once we do start getting a few levels under our belts that we are the winning early game. You don't need to add the volatility in the mix for the side of FPX. We just need to really see them push that advantage home going into the mid game, or Scout will just become such a menace. For EDG, you will still have the option of playing out through sides. You have the Tryndamere and the Ryze. Spread EDG thin across the map. Flandre doesn't have the TP to answer you anyway, so feels like those are kind of how we'll see early game into mid game develop for both sides.
Let's see if this different dynamic comes through for FPX. Again, shut out in the early game in game number 1. If you're just tuning in, it was a 26.5-minute stomp from the world champions of 2021. Play missing there in the bottom lane, unfortunately, as Meiko's just going to run into him in melee range. We're gonna pay attention to the junglers here, Lwx, because it is a bottom side start for Jiejie and Clid. You talked a lot about Jiejie negating what they can do up in the top side, what Clid can do overall with his bloodthirsty style.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it is just going to come down to, again, making sure your top laner has vision, making sure you're spotting out where Clid is, and preventing xiaolaohu from finding those all-ins. Early lane states kind of developing exactly as we expected, right? Lwx and Hung having push in bot, Azir going to have control over the first few waves in mid, and xiaolaohu having that kill threat up in top side. One crazy crit, and Tryndamere just suddenly wins out with a solo kill early on. I feel like we've seen it absolutely so many times. So slower first few levels than I feel like we'll get from last game. But knowing both of these teams and how aggressive the laners like to be, especially for EDG, a lot of them do like to look for, you know, solo kills or 2v2 kills. Wouldn't be too surprised if something flares up at the snap of a finger.
Hey, yeah, it's what we expected coming into this series, right? FPX and EDG. EDG brute forcing in game 1, and FPX can be bloodthirsty themselves in jungle with bot. We'll see how it develops, because jungler's heading up towards the top side of the map right now. And as Scout kind of pushes out through mid, everything looks a bit normal. I am more curious to how much damage xiaolaohu can get off on that top side, where junglers finally meet.
It looks like Jiejie going to just wrap around and maybe start heading towards his bottom side early on with how heavily xiaolaohu's pressuring up in that top lane. We do see, it looks like Lwx and Hung might just set up to take Scuttle themselves, so denying Jiejie on both fronts, and him not really going to be able to find any impact early on unless he tries to opt in any kind of skirmish, but it doesn't look like he could, so Jiejie going to be forced out for now. This is a prio mid.
Yeah, and he's found Clid. Look at the damage coming through. Skysplitter was just used to steal away the Scuttle, but it's a Volibear with PTA. It's coming down again. The lightning for the slow. And Jiejie has flash available. Now he's just like, hey, xiaolaohu, do you want to beef as well?
And this is a bit of an awkward position for xiaolaohu, knowing that he's here, right? Because you look at where the wave is, can't be pushed in.
It walked into him, though. Skysplitter's going to time out perfectly. Shock Blast combination at half HP, and Jiejie negating, as we said in draft.
Yeah, a bit of a cheeky kind of... Oh, actually, let's not talk about that cheekiness. FPX now might try and bait something.
Jiejie backed away. Flandre low on mana. Remember, this is a Ghost Jayce, by the way, as we'll see which summoner has to be burned. He jumps back in, playing it cautiously on xiaolaohu, who gets a good trade, but not overextending past the minion wave for now.
Oh, Hung?
Okay. Ignite goes down, grab him there as well. They stick him in place. Lwx with some good trade of damage, but It is Meiko who has to burn the flash while Hung drops the ignite. Now on the top side, we return again as instant flash here, but it won't be enough. Ghost was burned as well, but Clid and xiaolaohu have the damage. They flash on top, and FPX burn the blood in the top lane.
And this is exactly how Clid loves to play. It doesn't matter that he's had those camps up in bot side. He's going to wait, force his play out. This
Viper cleansed?
Fishing again, you're right. Cleanse coming out from Viper. Jiejie going to be spotted out by a ward, so EDG not going to be able to answer on the opposite side of the map.
Much better start for FPX. 600 gold lead here off the first blood in the top lane. It goes to Clid, who we know is going to keep getting active as a Gravitum comes through. Meiko too far forward in the lane. They had their jungler there, but they're overconfident. A dark passage from Hung helps out as he picks up the kill. The flash from Jiejie, but Lwx responds. They're safe under turret. FPX are rising again.
And this is what you expect from FPX bottom lane. Lwx first in kills for AD carries to 5 minutes.
Yep.
And I believe he's second if we go up to the 10-minute mark. So typically in the first 10 minutes of the game, both these guys are looking for these aggressive options. It opens up for Clid to be able to take this dragon. You're fine on the opposite side of the map. xiaolaohu catching that wave under turret, and Jiejie not going to be able to find anything because Scout's on the Azir. So this is why in draft kind of hitting on if EDG wanted more options, could have maybe opted into a more aggressive mid lane pick coming out.
Sure.
This is kind of par for the course of what you'd expect. And especially now, where you look at the levels, level 5 across the board for the most part, Care finally hitting that level 6, this is where FPX's composition really comes online in my opinion.
I was going to say, it's only going to get worse, right? So after the early game, we've seen a nice starter, but let's see how the momentum shifts forward, especially since Flandre has no summoners up in the top side. Viper without his cleanse as well. Meiko burnt the flash before. You've got quite a nice setup here, especially since we're getting towards the Herald, and we know they won't be available for even that.
And that's why I'm curious to see how FPX play this one out, because I was saying in draft, I'd kind of like to see them switch it up, play towards topside this game.
Yeah.
It feels like that's more of your guaranteed route to where, like, xiaolaohu can pressure on his own. If you want to leave him by himself, just give him some vision like he's getting for himself right now and play down towards spot. Probably not now with Herald coming out in 1 minute, but it would be quite greedy to play out two sides of the map. But it is an option for FPX. So it's kind of like the easy stock and standard, just give everything to xiaolaohu for the next, like, 5-10 minutes, or be a bit more greedy, try and win on both sides, allow xiaolaohu to play his game alone, enable Lwx and Hung on the opposite side.
Let's just track Clid a little bit closer to find out that answer, right? He's got a Sheen, he's pretty strong here with the first blood. Level 5 here on the jungler. They've got a Rune Prison up. The Emperor's Divide sends them out for a glide, and FPX are negated back, but there's no ulti here from Scout right before the objective's going to spawn.
And despite the fact we were hitting on, you know, again, having the Volibear, maybe a more aggressive mid lane option could have been good. This is why, you know, you can understand the Azir coming out. 3 melee champions, and then 1 very short-range mid laner coming out in the Ryze. Even Aphelios, you know, not having the highest range once you're past that Calibrum. So makes sense for Scout coming out. Is going to be very safe in this mid lane matchup. Jiejie going to find some counter jungling of his own. Actually, no, this is his own jungle. I'm just an idiot once again.
No, that's all right.
Clid is just playing in it.
He
like
is.
It's his own jungle.
He's sitting there waiting very patiently. I love that Clid was kind of making a Jiejie there. Do you remember you and I were opening up the segment talking about Jiejie is very patient as a jungler, and that's why you think it's his. Because Clid was sitting there for about 30, 40 seconds. He's still there, by the way. Look at him on a bit of a journey.
Yeah, Clid building a new house in enemy side.
Waiting for cement to dry. He's backing. No, wait. No, he's not backing anymore. Lyric, that is a very well-lit jungle, but Clid is still trying to make things happen.
Yeah, and Hung hanging around for now. You'd assume that they maybe should expect him to be here. I guess for ADG, you could assume he could be on Herald, considering that xiaolaohu's pushing top, but they are going to respect, they're going to know the possibility that he's here now for EDG's bottom lane. Wave going to come to a neutral point now, wanting to take Krugs, those aren't up. And Lwx, my god, playing so aggressively by himself, kind of, I guess, bluffing the enemy side that, hey, you know, I still have Hung, he's around, etc., you can't all in me. Meiko doesn't have flash, so I guess he is still fine for now. But
I noticed Care went into Fog of War in that play as well, so I guess adding that extra piece of respect. Hey, with Herald up and available, though, let's return to the discussion. Care still with Ultimate available. We're still expecting that. xiaolaohu with Noon Quiver up in the top side as Tryndamere. No fully completed items yet, but FPX are the first ones to make the move with Hung here and waiting.
Yeah, and we now see xiaolaohu getting control of topside because Flandre using his window early to try and, you know, get control over vision. They were able to guarantee the topside scuttle. So at least if FPX start this one up, they're going to have full information of it. And both teams posturing up for this 4v4 right now. Looks like we have summoners up pretty much across the board on everyone who's here, other than top laners. Both going to be up soon, though.
Yeah, AD Carry's not even joining in, so it's going to be a 4v4 strictly. It's a flash from Jiejie onto Clid, but he ulties out of there. The Empress Divide, though, beautiful from Scout. Separates FPX as Care now fighting front to back. He flashes on in. Clid with a reset in the nick of time, but Jiejie cleaves him too. Flandre in the middle of 3, and FPX have found this fight with another good play down Flandre with a burst, but it's a stopwatch taken through. Now with over the wall, Flandre getting out, but the Realm Warp close too. FPX seal the deal, but boy, was it close.
Yeah, 2 for 1 going over to the side of FPX, able to win out Scout, finding, a play, separating the members of FPX, hoping they could burst someone down. Not able to do it. Now FPX going to pivot back towards their lanes, try to deny a bit of CS. We'll go straight into the replay here with Clid playing so far forward. I feel like the game plan here from EDG is just, again, burst someone out very quickly on with the 3 members you have available. You split them up, but still Scout then left on his lonesome on the Azir. Very squishy, has to flash out immediately. And then for FPX, you hit on it. Clid getting the reset was so massive to buying more time. You can see Jiejie and Flandre just kind of biding time, waiting for him to come out to get damage down onto him, which allowed for the other members of FPX to find an extra kill in return.
Flandre getting away as well in the nick of time. Would have been a 3 for 1, and FPX might have the gold lead, but they didn't do the Rift Herald as we went to the replay. EDG come back, Lyric, with looks like a quicker reset.
And again, I feel like it's one of the funnier parts of League of Legends in terms of, like, if you die, you technically come back first, right? And you're first on the map. You're able to get that off to where FPX, as soon as they stayed on the map, they did deny waves. I do believe we saw xiaolaohu push out on the top side. He's 6 CS ahead right now, so was able to deny that for Flandre. Care as well pushed in. I'm not sure how much of that Meiko was able to hold or absorb, but FPX at least able to get a good trade on the opposite side of the map and still posturing down for now. And now we're getting to the point, hitting on what we were talking about earlier, where this will really define FPX's game plan, right? Because Flandre, once again, having no flash, you can play towards that top side, or you can leave him on his own. He'll win out by himself.
The angle,
you can do this.
The angle on Jiejie, the hook hung, doing it again. You know what to spam, guys, when this man gets behind enemy lines.
And FPX are doing it, right? That they are going to try and win out on both sides of the map, it looks like. If you can keep that vision up in bottom side, you'll have full information of where Jiejie is if he's up towards top. You can try and match if you want, or you can just look to do what you just did. Maybe try and set up some plays on Viper and Meiko. Now that Viper's at that level 7 point, though, it will be a bit harder considering he does have the ultimate available. But even just denying him off turret, denying him waves, there's only 2 plates left on the bot side turret. You can do so much.
He's 30 CS behind. I mean, AD carries didn't move before, and Lwx was already having a good time. So for FPX, it's not just the plays we see. It's just not the sneaky little movements from Hung. It's the fact that Lwx is so far ahead of the curve of Viper. It's nice to see our world's AD carries going head-to-head, and in Game 2, we get a bit of a flip of the script.
And for Lwx, I mean, right, it's been a lot less about this bottom lane for FPX than we expected. Like, sure, this game, we've definitely seen more focus than we did in Game 1, especially them coming out with the 2v2 kill earlier on, but still, it's been a lot about mid-jungle coming out from either side.
Yeah. Care and Clip, working together again. We talked about Care sacking waves a lot of the time. He's been keeping up with Scout in this game. He's playing a great Ryze game here, even and even up so. What I'm trying to tell you, folks, is that he's got 2 kills. And he's got an Everfrost versus the Leandre he's just picked up. And with FPX, the way they've started this game, it's just been so momentum-based. It's a 3K gold lead. We're looking towards where the Herald's going to be placed from Jiejie to even it up. But even so, FPX hitting their condition, Lyric. We already talked about it. EDG want to stabilize this game a little bit, and Jiejie going up towards the top side going to do exactly that. xiaolaohu about to get dove as ulti's up and available. He gets knocked into the wall, and EDG just looking to force that out with the ghost.
Yeah, so at least going to get that crucial summoner, which is very important in terms of trying to find those all-ins.
Yeah, Cliff here. Realm Warp being used as well. Care's going to be on top of them, and EDG only have 2 members to respond as a hook. Beautifully sunken in, and Care with his 3rd kill.
Nice by FPX to set it up. EDG went for the plan that we set up earlier in terms of, like, play towards that top side. You can at least try and deny xiaolaohu either his ultimate or his ghost, which will then give Flandre some safety. But FPX waiting the wings already. You're going to be able to get this top lane turret pretty early on and start opening up the map and, like, bring your ice into bot lane. Lwx is fine. The only place you really have any semblance of pressure is this mid lane with Scout.
With the ulti coming through, maybe it turns into a kill as Care gets phase rush and runs away. Meiko can't follow through. Solar Flare out of range, and FPX is mid laner. He's going to escape from that one where first turret blood goes over to the Phoenix.
At least Red Herald will come out. They should be able to get this turret, but look at the minimap. Other members are coming.
Wait, Gale Force in the bottom lane. Ulti comes through from Viper. This is the aggression we want to see. Lyric, I'm looking mid. Scout's low. Herald gets the charge.
I was too excited.
Turret will stay standing, but for good cause, right? You're seeing that EDG are trying to bring some action back in this game, but FPX just won't let them.
No, FPX not giving them any breathing room. And right, I feel like if you have a lot of like people listening here who don't typically watch the LPL, they'll be like, oh, aggression, blah, 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 isn't that normal? No, we have a lot of teams that I feel like are on the more tame side. The BLGs, the RAs. I feel like I'm missing someone. Whatever, we'll go to the replay. EDG here
I'm trying.
Going for the dive.
We have 17 teams.
We have
trying.
We have too many teams. We have too many teams. The OMGs. There we go. They exist.
I guess so.
But I feel like FPX, EDG, Jiejie, and V5 really being the standouts in terms of like, these are the teams who like to play more aggressively. Especially the teams that we have in playoffs. Every other team kind of, I think, falling a little bit lower on the spectrum in terms of those levels. Even top esports, surprisingly enough. But FPX, going back on point, are not one of them. They love to force their advantages forward. xiaolaohu now going to be able to make an impact on the map, having the Gale Force available. So Flandre never really going to be able to walk up. If the wave ever goes to a neutral state towards river, Flandre has to be afraid of going up there. And then even Viper and Scout, he'll have a very easy time of forcing both of them back early on.
So let's talk a little bit more about EDG, because you mentioned in draft, like, this game is about neutralizing FPX in the early game. That hasn't happened. It's a 4K gold lead. FPX have 2 dragons. There's another one up in 30 seconds, which it feels like they can force EDG towards or just take. EDG are well and truly behind, but we have Azir, we have scaling elements and range, so how does it work?
For EDG, like, okay, they're pretty much 4K gold behind, like you just said, which feels pretty hard. I don't feel like it's completely out of the ballpark just yet.
Okay.
I feel like the roughest thing for them is the fact that FPX can go pick up Dragon. They are now on Soul Point, and you will be forced to fight in 5 minutes.
There you go.
Because if EDG could have bought more time and kind of just played cross map to what FPX are doing, it would have been a lot easier, because I don't feel like FPX have the easiest of time of brute forcing as EDG did last time, because they don't really have a true front line on their side, right? You have like bruisers in the Viego, like sure xiaolaohu has the ultimate, but I think it's much more dangerous to try and like threaten deep into the enemy jungle or force dives, because you could give those kills back. So EDG would have an easier time of getting the defensive line, being able to guarantee their camps, and just setting up for a 5v5 where EDG, I think, wanted Sackside's first move to mid and try and have that numbers advantage to prevent FPX from walking in.
I mean, there's 4 members here right now. Flandre getting ganked in the top side, though, and FPX going deep with the numbers known. xiaolaohu just returns to the side wave. It looks like for now FPX will hover around the Rift Herald. The second one being looked at here with Dragon 4 minutes away. So as Care clears the wave, EDG using those numbers advantage, you talk about at least to get some objective gold when they're so far behind.
And it just goes to what we hit on, right? EDG giving up sideways, saying, hey, we don't care.
Again, boxed down. Wait, hung again. How does he do this as Clid has to ult breaker away? Lwx is poking them down, and that's scary. FPX with a bit of a health bar advantage. Clid will heal up, and that's an easy second Herald.
So they'll get second Herald, but I think we just saw the play pattern that can get EDG back into the game.
Okay.
In terms of, if you're controlling space where FPX need to try and force their way into, to control something, whether it's answering mid-turret, or again, if EDG were the ones on Herald or vice versa, you saw the amount of poke that's able to come out even at this point in time. So EDG, really about kind of cheating ways to find tempo, giving up things to make sure that you're able to get into those positions first, and forcing FPX to come in view.
But for FPX for now, still with the gold lead here, is a Herald that comes through. Let's kind of talk about the setup for the next Dragon, Lyric. We're going to have 2 items coming through. You know what? That means we're getting to a replay. We got the little leaderboard down. We're going to go to a replay. So ignore what I'm just saying. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it, ladies and gentlemen. I've been casting LPL for 4 years.
Say, you're kind of like Clid right now.
Oh my god, I am.
We're waiting too long.
It's a paper of fine. Flandre going in. Actually, Clid, yeah, kind of like me. You're right. He's about to die. Flandre takes him down. There's no reset, and you couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, dying. You're dying of embarrassment. He's actually dying on the rip.
Yeah.
xiaolaohu now Lwx at least going to be able to force in the mid lane and answer something back, because now for EDG, really nothing in the bot side. You can try and force on bot, but you see Hung hanging around, Care already here clearing out waves, no real camps available for you to be able to take away. And in terms of setup, I feel like there's one thing that will be very hard for EDG to deal with when we talk about sides, right? Typically, I don't feel like you have a lot of side lane matchups, as we actually do get a replay this time. And so, if you called it this one, EDG, we're going to see here, Flandre walking a bit far forward. So FPX being the aggressors, thinking that they could punish, and they set up for it beautifully. having no one in mid, so FPX not really having a good read. Does look like someone in EDG pushed out mid-wave prior to this to where they wouldn't have the information of someone showing on mid-wave regardless. But going back to my point, FPX, xiaolaohu actually does have dive threat and like tower threat on sides. Typically you don't see that. I feel like there's a lot of top lane or side lane matchups right now that don't actually give you turret threat.
Yeah.
But with xiaolaohu's advantage on the Tryndamere, he actually does have that.
And he's been pushing out waves all series long, all game long, I should say. So EDG is a group up as 4. xiaolaohu used that opportunity to make a quick back and now picks up the Noon Quiver as well. Sorry, Lyric. The Navori Quick Blades. I got there in the end. So 2 items here on the Tryndamere that you talk about the dive ability. However, up on the top side, the story isn't about him. It's about Scout on this turret, picking up some more objective gold. 3,000 is now the only thing that separates EDG from FPX, apart from those dragons.
But now we're going to get to a point where Soul, 1 minute, 29 seconds, looking across the board in terms of summoners being up. Up for the most part. Clid missing his flash, I mean, could be impactful in terms of once he is committed, he is committed. Flandre on the opposite side, once he's engaged on, he's pretty much dead. But at least your key carries, Scout and Viper, have those available.
Yep.
Care, xiaolaohu, Lwx, the key members on FPX, also there. And for the side of EDG, ooh, you're pointing
I'm pointing at Ryze.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at Ryze. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I think that's a great point, because that even goes into setup in terms of items, right? Having the slow available, trying to dissuade or buy time for them to come in, where EDG have more time to get their poke down, more time to layer the DPS. For FPX, the critical thing is that we have 2 Gale Forces built for their side, so a ton of all-in potential on top of the Shirelias for Hung.
I'll be looking at that angle from xiaolaohu, close towards EDG's point as well. We will have a strong 2-item Flandre, who we just saw the poke through before. It is significant. Flandre now has the Mirror Mana upgraded as Care's the one not taking too much damage, but EDG poke out nevertheless. Sun turret goes up. Clid's on an angle there.
Yeah, Clid trying to find his way in. Look, they're actually kind of pincering with Lwx and Hung coming around the opposite side.
We want to see them poke them down. FPX are coming for the right, but they're over a ward, so EDG are picking a play. To the left side they go, but holding from Lwx, locks down Meiko, who flashes away to box down. And xiaolaohu runs into everyone. He'll get rooted up with the Undying Rage. Pops so early. He runs out for his life with Ignite, almost getting him down. FPX have taken so much damage. A Scout runs through. Another flash burn. A hook not connecting. FPX have been outmaneuvered.
Yeah, FPX still going to try and find an angle in with the Realm Warp. But not all members here. EDG should be able to secure this dragon.
He has an ulti, goes over, but the box taken, the Dark Passage. It is an objective bounty picked up again, as EDG will deny the soul for the next 5 minutes.
And we saw EDG have the disengage tools there available to be able to poke them out from being able to come in. EDG in a space where FPX, I don't feel like they needed to force.
True.
If I'm being completely honest, they went for that of their own volition. Could have played more around Dragon. We are going to see now, though, EDG not only closing the gold gap, you know, kind of slowly, little by little, but gold means less and less as the game goes on, especially when you're EDG and you do have that scaling available. FPX are going to have to go back to playing towards those sides because we've kind of seen them just hard force grouping up over the past 5 minutes. We haven't seen them playing around that Tryndamere or that Realm Warp that we were hitting on early on. Those were the tools that got them ahead.
That's right. And xiaolaohu, look how strong he is as well. Again, you talked about sideline, the waves he can dive. Scout, Flandre, whoever it may be at this point. xiaolaohu returns to bot that, though, for now. Doesn't have the teleport worth mentioning, so he is on the opposite side of the map from the Baron. But it seems like for now, EDG wouldn't dare starting that one with Scrying Ward available and some deep vision for FPX.
No, so it seems like for xiaolaohu, gonna just have to start rotating up and taking camps, looking for flanks. I actually really like Scout being the one to answer to xiaolaohu, has more wave clear available, has a disengage with his ultimate, and I think he's a lot more hard to go back to what we were saying before, hit turret against or look for these dives against rather than Flandre.
Okay, well, Hung gets the play, but doesn't get the death sentence. Meiko, maybe it's his own death sentence. The reset for Clid given over here. FPX started the fight. Look, xiaolaohu is here once again. Undying Rage used, but this time into less members. FPX started off, and even though xiaolaohu gets nothing achieved, they still find a big pick onto Meiko.
And now for FPX, there isn't really too much you're able to do with this pick.
Okay.
You can try and get some more vision down the top side, but I don't feel like you can really follow up on any more deep wards or more aggression. If you do push further into their jungle, you still have to answer waves on sides anyway. You look at the top wave, something Care's going to go and clear right now. So you get a nice pick, you get a bit of gold in your pocket, but not translating into too much. And I feel like the game is on a bit of a cycle right now, to where we're going to see FPX consistently have Care and xiaolaohu push in sides. You're going to rotate towards mid to try and set up those picks. 4 or 5 minutes until Dragon comes up, and then they're pretty much banking on the fact that EDG, they can't get away with getting every Dragon, as we see here. Meiko not expecting this. They have complete control over Baron.
Okay, well, we're coming back because something happened. Scout has soldiers out, and xiaolaohu, okay.
Oh wait, more action apparently.
Maybe it was the right move to come out. Dark Passage, nicely done from Hung. The save care, but hang on, TP's being used. 5 members are in front of Baron Lyric.
xiaolaohu has no TP either, right? He took Ghost, so they can just go for this one and burn it.
Clid's bottom side, there is no smite available. EDG, again, the word is outmaneuvering here. As Clid is still so far away, it's going to require a miracle. As Hung puts out the box, the Dark Passage over the wall, he steals it. Captain Clid reporting for duty.
That was absolutely insane. It looked like EDG had completely outplayed FPX there, but FPX, they get away with everything. Now they get to maintain the pressure they had on bot, the pressure they had in mid, not taking the Baron and now forcing this home. Hysterics, that was crazy.
That was EDG with the smart play, but FPX just said, shut up, go home. That's the best Baron I've seen in a while.
That was so sad. I feel like that is the most heartbreaking Baron I've seen because you completely understand what EDG are going for. You completely understand the thought process. Not thinking they need to commit anyone to like zoning members off, maybe wanting more damage, burning the Baron to try and get before other members can get here. But Hung on the Thresh, coming in clutch, able to Lantern over, and Jiejie actually didn't have smite available, it looks like, unless this is, you know, some kind of like spectator or viewer bug, but no smite on the Volibear, just allows Clid to be able to get it.
At 500 HP, Clid comes in, says thank you so much. Baron now for FPX. Scout ulti's in the bottom lane. And FPX are right back to that point, Lyric. 6k in their favor. They're hitting the side lanes as you want to see. And Baron on a team like this that you wanted to see control sides is just such a glory given. And
especially when they're the team that's been on Soul Point, right?
Yeah.
Because one thing that EDG were able to do before was you say screw sides, you move mid first, you push in that wave, and you have a guaranteed angle of walking into river. Now, they can't do that because FPX having the Baron buffed minions can guarantee push in mid and bot to set up for Soul.
EDG are matching for now. Bottom side is where all the attention's given. Flandre moving in, but the wave is pushing down this turret so fast, and Clid is always threatening. I love right now that FPX feeling confident. Good ulti from Lwx. Look! 5% no HP all of a sudden. Ulti comes through, xiaolaohu threatens, and just like that, the inner turret is demanded.
Yeah, so they're going to pick this one up. They're going to be able to go back, get the soul, and there's really no response able to come out from EDG. FPX, they actually don't care. They're going to keep the push up.
Speaking of which, he returns as well. FPX with 4 members of the Baron, while Clid hits mid. FPX just do not care, you're right. EDG so defensive right now, the Dragon there, and after a quick push, Realm Walk going to be used. This is Soul that looks like absolutely guaranteed.
Yeah, there's no contest able to come out from EDG. There's just no way. Like, sure, you're even able to get some healing off from Viper in terms of HP, but not able to match your tempo. You still have waves funneling into you. I mean, the Baron is still there, so even had they, like, let's say left one member in mid or bot, you can guarantee the push still there. So for EDG, now you're coming back on the map. You're going to wait for the fight to come out from FPX, try and get some vision set up so you're taking a favorable fight on your terms, not allowing for any flanks or anyone to come from off angles, and hoping that in Emperor's Divide is enough, hoping that Jiejie and Meiko can be those meat shields so Scout and Flandre can put off the huge amount of damage that they're doing.
I just can't believe we're into a game 2 where EDG smacked them game 1. FPX lost in 26.5 minutes. We're at 28 right now, and FPX are in the driver's seat, and it feels like this game has been a really good responsive draft. We saw the early game priority come through. We saw Clid on something that enabled the rest of FPX, and away they went.
Yeah, and now I feel like Scout will be able to start dishing out a good amount of damage with the Leandries, right? A lot of like health being built on the opposite side for care. Clid even having the Black Cleaver on top of the Divine Sunderer. Now it's pretty much going to be all in his court still. No anything like Sorelda's Grudge coming out for Flandre, so FPX I don't feel like have to be too afraid. They can just look to brute force this, and they even have xiaolaohu putting pressure on mid.
Look, ulti comes through as well. Lwx going for Meiko. It spreads again. Hung with the hook. That was close, but the Solar Flare stops him in his path. Hung with the Shurelias too. This guy only wants to go in, and because his flash is available, get ready. Hung will flash in for this hook. Lyric, I am going to predict it.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No,
wait for it. FPX are going to push towards mid for now. Topside turret comes back. You're right for now, though. That's what bothers me the most.
Look, here's what's going to happen. EDG are going to be the ones to engage out of nowhere.
Okay.
Because they're the ones with pressure put on them right now, right? FPX pressuring them from both sides. They need to find a pick. They need to try and cut off the fight from one angle. FPX not giving them that option. So typically here as EDG are the team being pressured, right? If you have a team pushing in numerous lanes, you just have to commit 5 resources to one, accept your losses other, and try and win out that fight to rotate quick enough.
As FPX is in 5 strong. Okay, in front of the inhibitor, good root comes out from Viper. Lwx saved by Hung here as Shock Blast hits over. The head still comes through.
And remember, this is the kind of fight.
Jiejie going gold. I don't know, the box is going to layer him down. He gets slowed, but still FPX haven't found the damage, haven't found the opening.
And these are the formations that EDG want, right? EDG are happy with 5 members right in front of them. That is where EDG's damage will be able to come off for free. FPX not having a great way of forcing fights. It is really only Care flashing forward, which he doesn't have, finding a route, or Hung setting up the play. There's no way else for FPX to find it.
But EDG are now separated, and they find the inhibitor in the mid lane. Clid pushing down towards the bottom side as well. Half HP as Jiejie response. FPX are pulling them around the map. Care realm warped up for this one. The base broken at multiple angles for now.
And there we go. EDG trying to find the play like we said. You have to commit onto one side, but Meiko's ultimate not connecting.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting it too, which is why I was giving you space to do the yelling, call the fights, but nothing able to happen. And EDG, you just gotta go.
Dennis dodged away, at least Care doesn't move from it, and the dark passages again from Hung have been so good this game, so Lyric, EDG's base is broken, and FPX maneuver around.
I mean, FPX have been playing phenomenally, right? We're now up to an 8,000 gold lead for their side, able to keep this one up. And it goes back to that, you know, most of us predicting EDG to win, we did hit on, there are ways for FPX to win the series. This should no way be a smash coming out for EDG. The silver lining for EDG is as long as this game can last till, let's say, something like Elder, I mean, at least then it becomes a flip, assuming FPX go for that, because FPX at this point could kind of just ignore the neutral objectives, say, we're not playing for Baron, we're not playing for Elder, we're just going to look to try and play out like we were, spreading you thin, using the super minions, not giving you a chance to steal. But if FPX do flop, they do bring it to an objective. One smite from Jiejie can turn the game.
Even in an AK gold lead, I like that you bring it up. EDG still have ways in this game, but it looks still difficult as Lwx. Ulti comes through, but doesn't hit the target. Shock Blast absorbed by the Mountain Shield and a bit of Lwx's own making. We have the Baron back up and available. Lyric, EDG are moving into River, but FPX right now relying on Tryndamere in the bottom lane.
I was going to say, look at xiaolaohu. xiaolaohu's pushing firm. EDG, are they just going to start this one? They are. They're feeling desperate. They know that this game is pretty much a loss right now. They need to find some hope, and they're hoping it's this Baron.
All 5 members relying on Azir too. Hung with the hook to start it off. Clid on the back of the pit wants yet another steal. He won't get it as Viper takes it. Clid looking for his pickoffs on the backside as Jiejie is buying time, but xiaolaohu is ending the game. The Realm Warp ignoring all as Hung goes one direction, Care goes the other. Scout taking him down though. The Emperor's Divide good as Scout actually will find 1. 2 kills, looking for the 3rd. FPX's Tryndamere has been silenced, and Scout holds the line strong.
And it's sad that, like, FPX are the ones moving the Baron, but it's always around the Baron where we see FPX start to struggle in the later halves of the game. They're trying to hold, they're trying to hope that xiaolaohu can go for the split push. The problem is, they don't really have a way of dissuading EDG from doing Baron in a 4v5. You don't have poke yourselves, you don't have any hard engage, you don't even want to take that bite without the Tryndamere. It just allows EDG to get it for free. And, I mean, we're going to get to see here all the small nuances. Again, FPX relying on Tryndamere. They're hoping they can stop this from happening, relying on Clid for a steal, because they don't have any poke. They don't really want to engage into a 4v5 with the lead they have, because they don't really have a front line. They don't have anyone who can just really soak damage. And EDG right now still hit very hard. Sure, you get Jiejie on the back half of the fight, but here Care's already low. He realm warps in, giving what looks like a free kill over to Scout, and then Lwx right alongside with him. I mean, I think just very questionable decision-making coming out from FPX to all in on a side at this point in time.
I mean, it's good that you talk about how EDG can move back into this game despite the gold lead, because now with the Baron buff, with a very strong Azir at 4 items, Scout, again, looking big. Viper in this game with a bounty for a good reason. Elder starts here, Lyric, but FPX, the damage hasn't come out yet.
No, but look, xiaolaohu's off on the flank. EDG, no. So you're going to have someone mark him and make sure he isn't able to come in, or FPX will be able to just do this, but Scout still in top.
TP's coming through. It's a 4K though. xiaolaohu wants to take on Flandre, who flashes away, but look, back at the Elder, Mr. Observer. I need to see it because the fight's going down. Elder's still standing. Meiko's dead. Clid's now dead as well. EDG's jungler going golden, and Jiejie is going to get a world of surprise. He comes out, but Scout with the Emperor's Divide glide in the back line. sends him to Viper. That's express delivery, and Scout flushing away was so clutch. Elder on FPX's side though. xiaolaohu's coming back in. No ulti. Care in front of the Elder. Scout does it. Everybody's dead except for Flandre.
And now EDG able to defend. They're doing fine. No Elder going over. This game is absolutely insane. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know, but when you see two people kill each other, the mid lane is going at it, you know that this series is on a path of deliverance. Lyric, run this.
How do we break this one down? This one was insane.
Run this down.
I mean, he finds the flash at first. FPX starting off with the numbers advantage. That's why they're able to find the pick onto Meiko, but we said it so many times, FPX not very tanky as a composition, not even getting too much out from that Mountain Soul, so they get brought down, especially with Scout having so much DPS going with this Liandry's build, binds the Xayahs, and then the flash was just so perfect coming out from him, reading the Elderbeck's going to throw out the Moonlight Vigil, and then here he knows, you know, try and buy distance away from Care, able to get out that DPS still, and I mean, I was a bit surprised that he was able to win out in the 1v1.
True.
Still, Care going with the more tank-oriented
Round two.
build once again.
We can do it again, Lyric. That's the real question here. Jiejie has ulti, but look, the rest of EDG aren't nearby. Looks like FPX come back first, and Jiejie are over looking for the steal! He actually finds it!
What is this game?
The game of thieves, it seems like, is FPX. This time they're going to get flipped off.
Yeah, so you do have a 5v4. They could try and look for the push. But I mean, we've already seen how much Scout is able to deal, how quickly he can get them to those lethal points where the execute is able to come off. The nice thing for FPX is there's no flash on Viper or Scout, no cleanse on Viper as well. They do still have their defensive ultimates available, but for FPX, this one would be a little bit of a flip right now. The problem is, I feel like FPX are now scaled in this game. It's not even a feeling. We've seen that. We've seen that EDG have scaled into this game. They have Elder. They definitely should be able to win on 5v5s. FPX don't have the range to deal with the damage. They don't have the engage to force their way onto the poke. And at this point in time, pressuring sides doesn't really mean too much when EDG are mostly just playing around their base anyway. We're going to get to see here the smite coming out from Jiejie. Just gets it before Klid's able to bring out his own. And I mean, goes down to the end, but it doesn't matter.
That's rough. I mean, to be fair though, Klid stole away the EDG Baron earlier on. FPX had the reins of this game for so long, but EDG have stuck around. It was the base push as well that looked like FPX were going to take us to an even series, but even with the Mountain Soul, EDG, a full item Azir there, Lyric, 7-2 and 3. Scout so far in this series has been instrumental to the success of EDG, and Jiejie as well, with just an insane performance when we're criticizing him towards the end of the split.
Yeah, now we're going to see the different dynamics come out for FPX.
Jayce, they've still got the Elder, remember, on 9 people. Turn the turret off. Jiejie sacrificing his life, and EDG can't get a response kill. Maybe a little bit too deep at this point as Klid in the backside.
Yeah, and I was going to say, EDG didn't look like they were on the same page here. Certain members backing
Meiko's
off.
dead.
Meiko's gone. Certain members of EDG backing off to go defend against Tryndamere. Jiejie going so far forward. Scout and Viper show.
I mean, they need to bring it to something here as xiaolaohu runs on in, but they're only going to get zoned away. Lyric, death timers at this point in the game are pretty big. I mean, FPX are channeling down mid.
Yeah, I mean, for FPX, they can just look to do this, right? I mean, 5v3 right now. Sure, you still have that Elder on the board for 10 more seconds, but for FPX, they still don't want to risk it. Instead, they just want to go for the Baron. With the lack of pushing power they have in their composition, it seems like they feel that this is necessary, right? Again, you don't have a ton of wave clear coming out. You don't have a ton of range. Get this, you can start playing out through trying to coordinate those 3 waves going into EDG all at once. And at this point in time, it's going to come down to one big fight.
Yep.
If we get one big fight, because the past few minutes has been picks all around the map.
I mean, with one big fight, even though there's only 2 turrets taken by EDG, it just feels like the death timers at this point of the game are going to be huge. And Lyric, they had Elder, they really wanted to end it.
And we see here them going in. Viper and Scout not really finding a good angle to be able to follow up. And at this point, we'd already seen Flandre starting to back to be able to stop the Tryndamere push. And Lwx, how do you find Meiko? Just started recalling in an unfortunate position. And this game's going to all come down to one thing.
It is. It is, as you said, one fight coming through. I've already mentioned the items here for Scout. Note that Care is a full tank Ryze, fully built as well. Lwx with a stopwatch worth mentioning here is he's getting towards, obviously, the GA is his last item. We have xiaolaohu with a similar position up in that top side. So we are at the point where everyone is as strong as they're going to be.
Yes, I was going to say, on one hand, we haven't touched on items in a while, but just finally key that Flandre and Viper having those Sorelda's grudges.
Oh, LWX caught. Cleanse.
Is able to get away, but yeah, the Sorelda's grudge built on both champions. xiaolaohu getting shunked as well. And for EDG, it's kind of funny that I think EDG's comp is at their most comfortable when they're fighting here, when they're fighting their own base, when FPX are pressuring them. Because this is when you have all members just 5-man strong in front of you. When you're the comp that needs to force, I think it's very awkward. Jiejie not being all that tanky against the damage of FPX. And then you're putting yourself in range of these melee and low-range champions, giving them an angle to where they're able to off-put and find picks onto you. So it's kind of strange where it feels like who's ever the aggressor is probably the one who's going to lose.
True. I mean, FPX have been trying for so long to end the game. Just cements the point, right? EDG have held on in this game for the last 15 minutes. Now up against the Baron. Trying to break the inhibitor again. Scout's got a pick. It's on to Care. This mid lane Ryze. Soulflare comes down, but Scout is now in front of a Tryndamere. Protecting the President comes in, and Scout runs for his life, but xiaolaohu makes it happen. FPX with 2 big picks in front of the Nexus turret. xiaolaohu! How deep can he go? He survives, and FPX thrive. After all said and done, after the lengthy defense, the Phoenix finally finishes the job to equalize the series.
And I gotta be honest, I just don't understand the agency coming out from Scout to try and find the pick. Like, you're going in for the engage. Let's say Care dies there. Your life for EDG is more valuable than Care's to FPX, in my opinion.
That is true.
You need to survive as the Azir in these fights to be able to find it. You're fine with them walking into you. Scout just seemed to think he found an angle, felt so urgent to make this pick, and I feel like a game that was very even, like could have been decided at the flip of a coin. EDG just kind of gave, yeah, they kind of just gave FPX a 2-sided coin, and here we are. FPX, great early game. Mid-game, I think, was a lot more questionable. We were continuously hitting on, like, hey, why are we not seeing this Tryndamere and Ryze in size more? Why are we not seeing maybe 2-man picks, have Care go up behind xiaolaohu with the Realm Warp, kill Flandre, kill Scout, set up on sides, and really kind of drive your gold lead home, maybe open inhibitor earlier on? They were constantly grouping up, which almost gave EDG a way back into the game. But, yeah, EDG at the end of it, kind of throwing that one away themselves.
That was an interesting game. Once all said and done, what a banger. Scout had a really good game apart from that last play, which is kind of a shame.
I mean, Scout was you know, like, no matter what, Scout was the saving grace of EDG in that one. The fight around Elder was obviously so instrumental for the side of EDG, bringing out things, you know, again, in terms of his itemization, the Ryze to be able to slow the opposing side, make it harder for them to come in. We saw the value of the Leandres and the long extended skirmishes later on.
True.
And he was huge. I feel like Scout is having a good series so far, but for FPX, it's great to see that they found, you know, to find their legs under them. I don't know what that saying is. I'm just throwing out random stuff because that series was so crazy.
It was. And look, in the second game, it's nice to see FPX being able to finish the job because I think their early game was incredible. It was clean. It was so much better cemented than what we saw in game one. They were shut out in game one. If they can clean up the mid-game, sure. But, you know, at least FPX adjusted the draft, and we saw that adaptation coming through to the series, where EDG, in the first 15 minutes, didn't really have anything going for them.
No, not at all. I mean, and a lot of it came down to draft, right? We expected EDG to play slower. We expected Jiejie to discover. Wasn't able to do it. FPX found their advantage, and they were able to find a win.
And now we're 1-1. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the first round where the loser goes home and the winner strives forward. But honestly, at this point, who knows how the rest of the series is going to go. EDG versus FPX. We'll be right back after this.